Everybody, welcome to another video here from Rest Tabernacle. And again, today we have the lead of our ministry, our media ministry, that's Vaughn Williams. And I'm Josie Brackett. And today we're going to be talking about OBS and how to run OBS from your church using it to have your live stream. And we're going to be going over this because in our last video, which thank you guys so much for watching and supporting, we got a lot of views from that video. We were only expecting like a couple hundred, couple thousand, maybe, at the most. But to this date, actually, that video is almost at 50,000 views. So thank you guys so much for watching and supporting and subscribing to our channel. We are grateful and thankful for your support. But yes, today we're going to be talking about OBS because in the comments from the last video, we did have people asking about OBS. How to use it and stuff like that. So we're going to be talking about how to start fresh and how to do a complete setup, complete basic setup in OBS. So run the intro. All right, so here we have OBS open, and basically you kind of can see our general profile, but we're going to start brand new, start fresh. So first you're going to want to start off by adding a profile. This is basically just to get it set up, and then after you set up your profile, then you're going to want to add your scenes. So when you add your profile, it kind of will take you through an easy wizard to kind of help you get that first part set up. So Vaughn is going to go here and go through some of the options and kind of talk you guys through what it is that he's doing.
So you have the options here of optimize for streaming and recording is secondary, vice versa, optimize for recording and you're not going to be streaming, or using a virtual camera. For our purposes, for the purpose of streaming, we're going to choose this one, which is optimize for streaming, and recording will be secondary. So we select that, hit next. So here you'll come with the video settings. So it's asking for the canvas resolution. For this, we will, currently is this, that's what's showing on our monitor, but you want to put this to full HD, which is 1920 by 1080. Frames per second, it gives you a few options here as well. So for YouTube and for Facebook, or any type of media where people are gonna be watching, it's preferred to have 30 frames per second over 60 frames per second, which 60 looks kind of, doesn't look as natural. It's more so used for if you want to slow things down, like post-production, but so we're not going to be doing that for live, so we'll click 30. But you have the options here, 60 or 30, but 60 when possible. We just want to keep it at 30, 60 or 30, but the high resolution, again, this might override. I'm not sure exactly how it will change, but it might override the 30, so we just want to keep it at 30 just so we know that it's 30 all the time. Next will be the stream provider. So you may, like I said, depending on where you are, we're going to be using YouTube, but you have the option of YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitch, we stream, Periscope. They still have Periscope and Twitter, and they have all these different options. But again, for this setup, we're just going to go to YouTube here, YouTube RTMP, and here now you will need to go into your actual YouTube page, YouTube login. So we'll go over that right now. And
for that, you can sign in straight back through your website, or if you saw there on OBS, it says Get Stream. You can also click Stream and it will bring you to the login page of whatever website that you had chosen.
So go to Go Live. So when you do Go Live, so if coming down here, this is where you'll do the different title and information on your actual stream. You can go into there's a whole bunch of videos on here that will show you how to do the actual setup for this. Title, description, visibility, if you want it to be public, private, or unlisted. Unlisted is just so that only people that have the link will see it. Public is everyone will see it, and then private is only basically whoever has this account only. We'll just leave it unlisted for now. Okay, so we'll leave that as is because I already have everything set up like that. So back in OBS now, remember we're looking for the stream key. That is where we're coming here. So it will give you a default stream key. You can reset it, and you can show and hide it with this. So this is a stream key, paste in the encoder. Our encoder is going to be OBS, so we just do copy, go back to OBS, and we'll paste it in here. And yeah, we're going to use a primary server for YouTube, not the backup. Video bitrate, so this is the default that YouTube gives us with this 2,500. You can go up to, we recommend going up to 4,000 if you have a good internet connection and you have a good computer that can handle it. Just for the quality wise, it will be a lot better. But I'll leave this at this for now, as we're just doing the basic setup here.
I think that's when you're going to want to, if you're going to go higher, that's when you're going to want to test your upload speeds to check, if you can handle higher bit rates.
Prefer hardware encoding. So if you have on your computer a graphics card, which you would be using for the encoding, if you're doing it all in the computer, because some people as well, they'll have like separate encoders like the A10 minis or anything else, then you would use that. Again, we'll select this for here, but I'll show you as well in the other section what you would be choosing if you were not to have a GPU on in your computer. And this estimate bitrate is, I believe that's for, I think it's for Facebook.
Yeah, so you can't click it when you're doing for YouTube, but if you're doing Facebook Live, if you select that as your search provider for Facebook Live, you can estimate it and it will give you like a reading of what they recommend and you can go off of those settings.
Okay. So hit next. This is giving us a rundown of everything that we just went through here. And we'll be changing a few things anyway in the next couple screens.
After you set up your profile, then you're going to go to settings to just adjust a few more settings before we start adding scenes.
So general tab, again, you can just leave everything on here. Was there anything that we need to show in here?
The only thing that I remember for general tab is if you also want to record the stream on your computer, and if that's something you want to do every single time just as a backup, then you can have it set to automatically start recording as you start streaming. We here don't do it at church, but for my own personal, sometimes I do it as a backup so that even if I'm streaming, if something happens with it, it will also record. But here for church, we don't do it. So it's not something needed, but it is an option to have where you can click there where it says automatically record when streaming.
Yeah. And it is, like I said, if you have the specs on your computer, you're able to handle it, then yeah, you want to do that just as a backup.
That's pretty much all you're going to do. That's all you would need to change in general. Everything else is pretty standard. You can leave it for, as you get more advanced and you can change things later.
In the stream tab, again, we already did the setup, so we don't have to do this, but let's say you didn't do the auto configuration wizard, then this is where you could still come in here and make the changes that you want to change. For output, so we do have different options here, advanced and simple. If we leave it in simple, again, everything is just simply laid out. So what I was saying earlier regarding the encoder, so if you do not have a GPU or anything, or any encoder in your computer, it's going to be software encoding. So software, can leave that as is, audio bitrate, recording quality. So here you can change like how it records. You can do same as stream, which is still good. Or if you want a higher quality, then you can do just higher quality of the actual recording, not the stream. This won't do anything for the stream, but let's say you want to stream it for Sunday service or any service, and then later on, maybe after the service, that's when it will be taken down. You're gonna actually like upload it properly, then you'll probably want to go into this. But again, it's just depending on, as you can see, like say it's telling you already that it's a large size file.
Yeah.
But we'll leave it as same as stream for now. Recording format is whatever your preference is, MP4, MKV, MOV. Whether you're using like ProPresenter or Final Cut or whatever you want, whatever your computer that you're gonna edit on, if you're gonna do editing, this is where you would select whatever format that works best for you. Everything else there you can leave. Mixer board connecting, depending on how you have this set up, but how ours is here connected to OBS. You just want to have the same sample rate as what the board is on. So for example, like if it's at 44.1, then you select that. If it's at 48, like our board is at 48, we'll just leave it at 48. Audio devices, we'll come back to that afterward. Everything else here you can just leave as is. For video, base canvas resolution, so that's 1920 by 1080. For output, depending on what you want to output to YouTube, you would change that. So if you want a 720, you're going to change it to 1080. You can leave those two as is. Frame per second, again, you can always change it here if you wanted to, but like if you have whatever your other settings are, but we'll just leave that at 30. You want to talk about hotkeys?
Yeah, so hotkeys, if you do want to go into, you can set them up so that, for example, if you want to just use something on your keyboard to press, so for example, if you want to set up your camera 1, you can press 1 and then it will switch transition from camera 1 to camera 2 if you have multiple cameras or if you have different screens. You can set up hotkeys so that instead of using your mouse the whole time, you can press keys on your keyboard and it easily will change your cameras or your views or what's being shown. But we're not going to go too much into that, but that is what hotkeys are about. And then we're just going to move into the advanced settings, which again, there's not really much that we change in the advanced setting for what you would need as a beginner just getting to OBS. There's nothing that you're going to change. You can pretty much leave everything on there. The only one thing that I did want to note is the stream delay from OBS to YouTube, or yeah, mostly to YouTube. Facebook, there's not really that much of a delay, but especially to YouTube, there is a delay, and it's usually about 20 to 30 seconds. So just note that what you're seeing in OBS is not exactly what you're going to see on YouTube because of the delay, and that's set here on this tab in stream delay.
And as you see here, when I'm scrolling up, that whatever you delay it by, it does increase your memory usage. Again, not much in comparison to everything, but it's just FYI.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the settings menu. So after you go ahead with that, then you can press apply first and then OK, and then it will change any of the settings that you may have just gone over. After doing the settings, we're gonna now start to go into some of our scenes, and we're gonna set up our scenes and then we'll set up our sources. So in your scenes, that would be like, for example, your camera 1, your video, all of that, and then you go to sources and you'll add components to it so that you can see, that you can hear, and all of that type of stuff. So let's go with scenes first.
Okay, so like we have scene 1 already here. You have to have at least one scene. Now, what you could do is you could actually, well, let me show you how to add. So you're saying that we don't have any scenes here at the moment. You just click any sources here, sorry. So then you hit the plus button to add, and then all these options come up. Now you can, and that's what we did at the beginning when we were first using OBS, you can add everything into one scene, but that does become tricky when you're trying to navigate between, like, say, different cameras or different feeds or images, anything like that, because as you'll see after, it's just tricky. So what you want to do is keep the sources in the scene to the minimal as much as possible.
All right, so first we're going to add a camera, and that's what we're going to use to basically get our visuals. So click on sources, and then you're going to go up until you see video capture, or down till you see video capture device. And video capture device, you can, because we have nothing here existing, so we're going to create new. You can rename it if you want. You know, we can call this camera, let's call it camera 1. All right, and then press OK, and then it's going to take you to another menu where you can then choose your camera based on any capture devices that you have connected. So for us, we do have a few already connected. This one here is, I believe it's the USB video. Something should, yep, there we go. All right, so that's our camera connected to the USB video.
Resolution, device default will work if you don't know about it, but if you know anything else, but if you know the specs of your camera, just go into custom, resolution, yeah, we want it as good as possible, 920 by 1080. You want to change the frames per second. Again, we're at 30, so let's just make sure it's 30 and not 60. You can go down to 20, 24, which is the film look, or 48, which is another film look, but again, for our purposes, 30. Video format, we don't have to touch that. Well, there's only one option anyway, but you can leave everything else as is. We don't really go into that. And hit OK.
Okay, so after now we have our video in there, but there is no sound, so you also then have to add audio. So everything is separate. So your audio is separate, your video is separate. Every component that you would normally use is separate. So let's go ahead now and add some audio to this.
So for the audio, again, we come down to, we're still in the same scene here, cam 1. So we'll go to add audio input capture. We'll just call this main. Call it whatever you want, but we'll just call it main here. And you'll come to this page, and it's going to ask you what device you want to use. So again, depending on how you have the board set up or whatever your audio interface. If you have an audio interface, then it will be showing up here like a Focusrite or any other brand, Behringer, whatever it is. Our mixer board does have an actual audio interface integrated. So if we were to select this, then it would be through USB into the computer. But again, let's assume that you just have the basics, which is just audio interface and then coming into your computer, which is probably by a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. You would select line in. So you would have mic as well if mic was showing up, but the reason why I would suggest saying line in is that mic is more of a sensitive capture for audio compared to line in. So mic is like, gets more power to the mic. So if you have like any other little mic, you can plug it into the mic, and then that's how you'll get sound into your computer. Line in is more for like phone or something, and you want to plug in so you can hear audio, like play a song or something from that. That's where you plug it into the line in so that you could talk and hear at the same, and talk over music, for example. But for this case, like I said, we have it line in, just going off of what, like say anything that is basic, like what you would have. So line in is there, and hit OK. What you'll notice though is that nothing is showing up over here in the audio mixer section. And that's going to show up when we transition over to program mode. Actually, I should probably go back and show that this is how we have our set up with preview and program, just so that we can see what's going to happen before we actually show it. You can do that over here in these controls where it has studio mode. So let's say we were to declick studio mode, which is now nothing showing. It's just this one thing, one scene.
And this is actually the default when you first install OBS. This is what you first see. You have to click studio mode in order to see the two screens.
Yeah, and it actually fixed it for us. So like you'll see like in regular mode, we added it and it shows up right away. Studio mode, it may not, or as you saw before, it did not show up. You'd have to actually transition to actually see the like the audio for whatever the cam is. So for example here, like you're seeing audio from cam 1, that would be if audio was going directly into the camera and then coming out through HDMI into your capture device. But there's nothing there, so that's why there's no metering happening there. Main, the reason why this is fluctuating right now is because there's some interference with everything that's plugged in the desk right now. Let me just show you quickly why we prefer to use the, I'll just leave it like that. Why we prefer to use the USB from the mixer board. Because with this is audio capture, this is our input device, there is no interference because it's all through USB. So if we were to unmute it, yeah, so you see it is capturing the sound directly without any of the static interference. Now there are other devices and ways that you can get rid of that, but again, if we're doing this the quick and basic way, this is what would happen. You may hear it on your feed. Sometimes it's very faint. You don't really notice it. Sometimes it's loud, which you have to like take the gain down in it.
All right, so that's pretty much it. So for when you're adding your first camera, that's pretty much all you need to add. You add your capture device, which will be the video, and then you add audio. So those two inputs or those two sources will allow for people to see and to hear you. A couple other things that we're going to show you today. We're going to show you how to also add images, add video, If for your church, if your church has a projector, we'll show you how you're able to also show what's on your projector. And we're also going to add a second camera. So there's a few other things that we're going to go over real quickly for the rest of this video.
So let's say we want to add an image. So we may not want to use the same scene to add the image in. So let us, actually what I'll show you is, like, let's say if we were to do that. So again, we do a plus and then we go to image and we'll just leave it at image. It'll pop up this page here. We want to find the image file, we hit browse and let's just pick the bubbles. So it'll give you a preview of what that is. Click OK and then it will show over here. So as you can see, this is over top of our camera. The reason being is because down here in sources, the image is on top of everything else over here. That's why we'll talk about these right now, these little eyes here. This is just to show what is actually showing in the scene. So if I declick this, it will disappear. If I click it, it will be there. So again, this is where I said earlier where it may be cumbersome to have everything in one area. So what we would do is actually remove this from this scene because we don't need it in here. And we're going to create a new scene. So we'll call this image. Oops. So now in this images scene, you'll see there's no sources here. Easy way of what we can do is actually go into the first scene and we were going to take our audio input and put it into this scene. The reason you want to do that is because you don't want to click to the next scene and then your audio disappear and then you're scrambling to say what happened to my audio. So we'll just right click, we will copy, go into the image and just right click in sources here and paste reference. And now this is now in this scene as well. So, and now we have this scene, this is the image scene over here. As you can see with the transitions, so let's go over that quickly. Once you're in like different scenes, so we click this scene, this is your preview, and then this is program, which is what's actually being shown. You can, let's say I wanted to go back to our camera view, we hit transition, it will switch it. So now this is what is being shown. This is here. You can still see, you can go back to the other one and show what's there. Again, let's click back and forth, it will there. And you can see throughout all this, the audio input capture is always going to be showing and metering.
All right, so that's images, and now let's, videos is pretty much the same. The only difference is with video, it's gonna come with its own audio, not just you talking. So there's a few things that you wanna pay attention to in video. So let's try to add another scene and then sources to have video.
So we're gonna create a new scene with the video file. Again, there's, like you said, there's a couple ways to do it. What we'll do first is put the video actually in OBS. So you play it to OBS and it would play for your the viewers online. So we're gonna make a new scene. We'll just call this video. So here's the video tab. Again, there's nothing in here yet. So let's just go back first into one of our scenes. Let's get this audio capture, copy, and paste the reference. So audio is in here in this video scene as well. So to input the actual video clip now, you're gonna hit the plus sign, going to go to media source. We'll create a new media source there. This one is a pre-existing one, but we'll just ignore that. Media source, name it whatever you want to name it. Just like with images, you're going to locate the file, hit the browse icon. It'll come into whichever folder you have your video files, and we will just select a video. Let's select this one. Hit OK. Sorry, to come down here, you don't need to trouble it, but just an FYI, you can have the option of loot, restart, and the speed and other things here. Make sure that we don't trouble this unless you want to, because this will change the speed of the video either fast or slow. We'll just leave that as is, okay. So now you'll notice that there's still nothing showing up here. So that's because the video is not playing yet. So once we hit the transition in this scene, it will play. The reason why this way is not ideal is because what you want to do is try to do this setup before you actually live stream, because as you see when I hit transition, the video is not filling the frame because of however the video was shot. So what you actually want to do is, actually we'll just play it. You want to actually like resize it or to the proper frame. And now let's just stop it again. So now we're back here. This is our church is going on, and we want to play the video for the viewers. Hit transition, and it's filling up the frame as it should. The issue with this is that no one in the sanctuary no one in here can see the video. However, they are still able to hear it again if you're through the mixer board, and again, that's a bit more technical. We'll have to go into that another time. But if you go into the actual media source here, you see it's playing, it's metering. This little gear here, right click, advanced audio properties. So you want for the media source to be showing monitor and output. So click this little down arrow here, monitor and output. So monitor is off at the time. You can monitor only and mute the output. Don't do that, monitor and output. And now you might not be able to hear it, but it's coming through the house speakers at this time. Just the volume using this here. You don't want it to be too hot, but we're okay. What you'll notice is that right now you're not seeing the tool to be able to pause the video or stop or restart it. You have to go back into the video here, make sure this is selected, and now you can see you can scrub through. This is actually a newer feature. You can actually like scrub through to different parts of the video if it's, let's say you want only a certain section of a video file that you're playing. But again, this is not ideal because you don't, no one in the sanctuary can see the video, only the people online. So we're going to take you to the other method.
Usually most churches will have a screen projector in their church, so that way people can see, lyrics or whatever Bible verses that you're showing. So through OBS, you're able also to capture what your projector is playing. So whether you're using Easy Worship or Pro Presenter or whatever else that you may be using to use inside your house, OBS can capture that too. So if you play it on your projector, then both people inside the building can see, and also people online can also see. So Yvonne is going to take you through that way right now and show you how to do that.
So we here at Rest, we use Easy Worship. So what we're going to do is we're going to the media section, and we're going to select, it might not be the same file, but let's select this one here. So this file here now, if we were to double click it and start it, you'll hear that it's playing in the background. It's playing on the projector that we can see, and it is playing in here in Easy Worship. To get this in OBS, however, we have to make another scene. So again, we're gonna make a new scene. We'll just call it projector. Let's see if the paste reference is still there for audio. It is. Wonderful. So again, just right click and then paste reference. So for the projector here, we're gonna add in this source of the, where is it? Display capture, there it is. Escape capture, I'll just leave it as is. Again, you can name it something. So in display capture, because we have on the computer the other display, like the projector's hooked up, we can hit this little drop down here and it'll show display 2. Display 2, so this is exactly what's showing on our projector right now. So now you see that it's up here, audio input capture is there. Again, we have to resize it. So let's just do a quick resize. Our projector is slightly misaligned. But we'll just leave it something quick like this. So now if we go back, so we're starting over on the projector. So again, it's blank right now. Let's do a run through. This is here. So church is going on over here in the program mode. We're gonna add what we're seeing on the projector. Nothing right now, but let's say, for instance, we have the welcome page still up. That's what OBS is showing, so you can see this is our welcome page. So church going on, they cue to cut to the praise and worship session. We transition over. This is what the projector is showing right now. Now we can go into easy worship and we can play the video file.
So doing it this way through, I'm just going to turn the volume down a little bit, but doing it this way through your Easy Worship or Pro Presenter, whatever your church uses, that way both people inside the sanctuary can see it and also people who are online watching it can see at the same time. So it's all synced and everybody knows what's going on at the same time. So if your church is only doing online and no one is actually in the building, maybe except for, maybe yourself or whatever the case is, then you can just do it all through OBS. But if you have people in the building who also may need to see what's going on, I would suggest you do it through your Easy Worship Pro Presenter, and that way everybody knows what's going on.
So let's just go back a second before we forget. When you do this as well, for, like I said, it's an outside source. The audio for that source is not coming into the feed yet. So what I had to do was, in the projector setting, we are going to show the desktop audio for the computer, so the computer audio. So what you would do is go into the settings, audio tab, and then desktop audio. This was already set as disabled. And if we were actually put it to disabled, it should disappear. Yeah. So again, if we're playing the video, we can hear it here in the sanctuary, but in OBS, they're only hearing just the mic pickup.
So if I turn down the volume here in the sanctuary, it's not really picking up much of the sound.
So what we want to do now is, let's pause this. What we want to do is we want to, in OBS, in this scene, the projector scene, go to the settings, go to the audio, and desktop audio. Desktop audio, want to make sure you can just put it as default. And then click apply and OK. Now desktop audio is there. Now when we play this file, you see that it's now metering the desktop audio. Again, the only downside of this is that if another noise on your computer makes another noise, it will hear that as well, but it's okay for this basic setup. The only other thing to watch is that when you're playing the video, you are still live in the house mics. So you may want to just mute this or turn it down, because let's say people start, in the sanctuary, they start singing along, you will hear them along with the video. So as you can see, we're playing, we're good. So this is the ideal setup compared to, let me stop this. This is the ideal setup compared to playing the actual video. Ideal in the sense of both parties, everyone that's in the church and the ones online can listen and hear at the same time, compared to just the person online having the view and the person in here just hearing it. So let's say now you wanted to add let's say a PowerPoint presentation that you're doing that's being done, or something on the internet browser. You can still do that in here as well. So let's create another scene. Let's call it browser. We will again take the audio from in the house. We're going to paste a reference. And then we're going to hit this little plus here. And let's do window capture. We'll just leave it at window capture. So right now it's going to select all the windows that are open in your computer. Give you the option of which one you want. So we have easy worship. We have the speed test. So let's choose this one. So click OK. Let's see, anything else here? Nope. Now if you go into the browser, anything you go into, you can change the tab there. Back in OBS, it changed the tab. So again, you want to have this one shown, so let's transition over here. And it works for PowerPoint, it works for anything that is running on the computer at the time, any other window. But again, like if it's a presentation, you want to make sure that the audio is in there as well. Sorry, let me go back to this. You want to make sure that the audio is in there as well, unmuted, so that everyone can hear. And that way now if someone is going through their PowerPoint slide, it's capturing it as you can hear the audio of them as well. So next what we're going to do is we're going to add a second camera to our sources, or to our scenes here. So we have scene 1. Actually, let's just rename this to cam 1 as well. Camera 1. And then let's add another scene. We'll call this camera 2. Again, there's nothing in here in the sources right now. So let's do paste the reference that we already had copied, the audio input capture. And let's add the camera. So we're gonna go add video capture device. We'll call this cam 2. Hit OK. And it will show us all the devices that are available, just like with the first camera. So with this one, so let's choose EOS webcam utility. Because it's the Canon's webcam capture using the DSLR, we'll just leave it as is. Right now we're showing you how to use the second camera. So now we have our 2 shots that we have on Sundays. So we have our close-up, wide here. Audio is still going to be the same in here as it is there, because we still have the same audio input capture here. Any other sources that you might see like this, like something else metering, you may want to just mute them, especially desktop audio, because anything that the computer makes will come through. So now we have our camera set up, or projector set up, or an image if you want to have an image presented, a video, and browser.
All right, so just a few more things to talk about. We're almost done with this video today. So we're just gonna talk about transitions, and we're gonna talk about Facebook add-on. So for example, if your main thing is YouTube and you also wanna be able to stream to Facebook also at the same time, we'll talk about that. And the last thing we'll talk about is virtual camera. So we're almost done here. Let's get into these last few topics.
So for the transition, you can see up here when we hit this transition back and forth, that's what it's doing with any of the scenes. Oh, not that one. Video transition, etc. So you do have this option here, scene transitions. So you can be a fade, swipe, everything right here, fade to color, cut. Cut is just, as it sounds, cut, where it's just a quick, just back and forth done. We like to use the fade just for a quick transition here. We find that 300 is still okay. We normally keep it about 600. And then we transition just for a smoother look. But again, that's just personal preference. That's just what we do here. For the Facebook add-on, so we'll put a link in the description to the plugin to add on to OBS. I believe it's named multiple RTMP or something of that nature. That's what this is over here. So with this now, you're able to stream to Facebook while we're streaming to YouTube.
We're not going to get into it exactly today, all the steps and everything like that, but we just wanted to let you know that there is an add-on. So if you want to be able to go live to YouTube and live to Facebook at the same time, you can do that. We'll add the description in the box about how you go about setting that all up. But we wanted to let you know about that option. But one thing I do want to note that if you are going to live stream to both Facebook and YouTube at the same time, your computer does have to be powerful enough because it's basically running two separate encoders. When you're just doing live to, let's say, one of them, you're encoding one. If the specs in your computer is not powerful enough, then you will start to have buffering. Things will slow down. It will use up too much of your CPU. So you want to make sure that your computer is able to handle live streaming two separate feeds at the same time.
And your upload speed too, able to handle that.
And your upload, if you're not able to do that, that's where people will use like Restream and those other type of apps. Those do cost, whatever the case is. But Restream, basically you're uploading it to Restream, and then Restream then distributes it to all of the external outputs that you want. So Facebook, YouTube, anything else that you may have going on. That's what Restream is about. So the last part we're going to talk about today, this is just a quick one. This is it's the virtual camera, and I'll let Vaughn go into that just a little bit.
So for the virtual camera, all you have to do is, you have to do it on the Zoom end, but we'll just, on OBS, what you do is you basically turning this OBS program feed into your Zoom webcam. So all the transitions and video and everything, you could still do that within Zoom basically, or Microsoft Teams, etc. You just basically start the webcam, start the virtual camera here first, then you would go into Zoom and go into the video settings and find virtual camera.
So that's pretty much it today for how to get your basic OBS setup, how to get going. We showed you how to add the scenes, how to add your sources, how to make sure you have your sound and everything like that. So we hope that this helps you in enabling your church to live stream a little bit better. In conjunction with the first video that we did, we hope that this one will help you a little bit more. For sure, please do subscribe to our channel. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, if it helped you, if you got any value out of it. And leave comments. We really did enjoy the comments from the first video, so leave comments if you have questions or whatever the case is. Leave some questions, leave comments if you liked it. And leave also, so you know what else you would like us to talk to, what else you would like us to get into. You can leave that in the video and we will try to answer some of those questions for you guys. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.